Daniel Carter at Afro Herb Keeper here. I'm taking another video while I'm driving. Today I want to talk about metabolism and how it affects us in our day-to-day lives, and especially about the way that our society is structured around, well, people with young metabolism. So our metabolism, or our metabolic rate, is the rate at which our body is running, all of your metabolic processes, your blood vessels, your organs, your brain, your heart, everything. It's all metabolism. So a young person has a really fast metabolism, and an older person has a slow metabolism. Your metabolism slows down as you age because your cells are replicating less and less, and your body is basically slowing down and eventually shutting off. And I'm leaving a high-density urban area right now, and I'm going into a more rural area, and I just wanted to, express that the high-density urban areas are not really ideal for older people anymore. They really struggle to keep up with the pace, and that's a result of the way that our society is built, and it's a result of our behavior as a whole. It's mostly, they kind of compound on each other, our behavior and the structure of society. So in a high-density urban area, everything is really fast and interconnected, and it never stops. And I live in a college town with a bunch of young drivers, a bunch of new drivers, and I noticed that young drivers drive really, really fast, and they take sharp turns, and they cause more accidents, and etc., etc. And the old drivers tend to be slower. This is very much not a rule, because everybody in Texas loves to speed, but and sometimes you have to speed in order to keep up with the pace of traffic, quite often, in fact. But basically, young drivers make it really hard for these old drivers who straight up just can't keep up with the pace. The world is slower for a person with a slower metabolism, and faster for a person with a faster metabolism. You look at the animal kingdom, you have the hummingbird. It's got like the fastest metabolism of any vertebrate, pretty much. It's going non-stop, like a mile a minute, constantly, and it has to keep finding food or else it dies. It's going really, really fast all the time because it's so small. And anyways, so you got something like a baleen whale on the other end of the spectrum, and they're very slow, and they live seasonally with, they migrate slowly, and they follow the krill and whatever. Resources are abundant for them, and they get regularly scheduled resources so they can store energy over time. And the same is true for animals out in the desert. You've got here in the Texas Hill Country, I've got a great example for y'all. You've got the Texas brown tarantula. The males only live for about 5 years. The females live for up to 20 or 25 years. That's because the males are just here to find the females and prove that they're the fittest and pass on their genes, then their time is up. But the females, they need to stay safe so that they can make generation after generation of offspring. So they spend most of their time in their burrows, while the males are running around with a faster metabolism, draining their energy. The females are sitting safe in the burrows, not expending that energy, and they have a stable lifestyle. And if you go around West Texas, the male tarantulas live for about 20 years, and the female tarantulas live for upwards of 80 years. Because out in the desert, unlike the relatively turbulent climate here with crazy winters and like crazy wet periods and stuff, it's pretty regular out there in the desert, and things go slowly. Resources are scarce, so they have to conserve their energy. So once you grasp an understanding of metabolism and the way it affects the speed at which you live life, you can start to garner an appreciation for how, if you're a young person, how it affects older people. And I think that we should all be very considerate when we're living life, and try to be careful not to cause accidents or hurt people as a result of careless, fast-paced thinking, distraction. Young minds are very prone to distraction. Everyone's very prone to distraction. Anyways, just things to be mindful of, but it compounds on itself, like all throughout our society. Workers are expected to meet a quota. They're expected to work at a certain pace. They're expected to do all these things, and they're constantly caffeinated and energized so that they can keep that pace going, a young person's pace. And there are old people. There are people getting into their 60s, 70s, 80s, people still working in their 90s just to get by, just to survive in this economy, in this country where you have to pay to survive, where you have for-profit medical care and all this other bullshit that makes it harder for us to survive, and just put lines in the pockets of people who don't need the money. Where was I going with that? That's kind of the takeaway here. But basically our whole society is structured around this young person's metabolism, and the expectations are set by that standard, and everyone's trying to keep up the pace. Some people aren't really making it, and we ought to change that. We ought to be considerate of that and try to make our world safer for more vulnerable people all the time, be they young or old, humans or animals. We should always be cautious, careful. I'm gonna get going. I hope somebody gains something insightful out of